Welcome to the Car Guys.
This week we're going to do something a little different. We've put out a request on Instagram for questions, so we're going to run through those and give you some answers.
Okay, BW Automotive asks, what was your original dream car that got you into cars?
Lamborghini Countach.
Yeah, definitely.
Got to be.
Lamborghini Countach or Countach.
Or Countach, depending where you're from.
Countach Dracula.
First car poster I had on the wall, white Lamborghini Countach.
Yep.
Definitely dream car number one. DCP511 asks, when's the 812 due, Damian?
Ah, right. Well, I'm expecting the 812 Superfast to arrive sometime around about March 2019. Wassel asks, have you ever crashed a car?
Oh, crikey.
Of course we have.
Of course we have crashed loads of cars.
Especially
not on purpose. Especially me. Not on purpose, obviously. Always an accident.
I personally crashed a Vauxhall Astra into a tree. Someone crashed into me in a Porsche 911. And then I also slightly did a spin in a Porsche 911 and had a little bit of an incident with a central reservation.
I was looking on the passenger footwell for something that I dropped, and I looked up to find the bus that I was following had actually stopped at the bus stop.
Boom!
And I didn't. Russell also asks, what's the story with the LucasArts cap?
Which I'm not wearing.
Which you're not wearing.
Strangely
Where is
today.
it?
I think it's in the Phaeton.
Yeah, no.
I used to work in media and was very closely related with the video games industry. LucasArts was in its prime. Obviously visited them a lot of times and got one of those caps, and it's the one that I've always loved. AVI? He asks, when is the GT2 RS coming? Good question. When they hit 320 to 350,000 pounds, maybe then we'll talk. Driven for Your asks, do you rate the Alfa Giulia Quadrifoglio?
Yes, very much so. However, I'm still epically frightened about depreciation on those things. I think they're only going to go south. So a couple of years, I reckon that'll be a performance bargain. Jazzy Jeff, 1991.
Nice.
Oh, I'm loving that. Have you ever been to the Nürburgring? I have been to the Nürburgring. I've never driven it.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never driven it?
I've never driven around the Nürburgring.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How have you got to this old and not driven at the Nürburgring?
Don't know. Just haven't. Never done it.
Well, I've also been to the Nürburgring and I've driven it many times, so I absolutely love it. It is obviously very dangerous, so you've got to watch it. Cars buzzing around you at all times. You've got blind bends, fast bends, off cambers. It can be a really dangerous place, particularly for motorcyclists. If you can get there, I urge you to do it, because it is a fantastic, magical place that at some point may be banned. Driven PJ says SV or SVJ?
SV.
SV. Murcielago SV.
Every single day of the week.
Yeah. Dom Malin asks, would you ever consider a 430 Scuderia? I think 430 Scuderia makes sense. I think if you've got Challenge Stradale, Speciale, Pista, then it makes sense to have the 430 Scuderia. I've never driven one. I'm quite looking forward to doing it. Came close to buying a yellow one quite recently. So yeah, maybe so. Samageddon?
Samseedon, Volvo XC90 T8 or Audi SQ7?
We're unanimous on this, aren't we?
We are totally agreed. Volvo every day of the week.
Much
it's a
better car.
Beautiful looking car. Bars 020589 asks, what was your first ever car?
My first ever car was an MG Metro.
Ta-da!
Check that bad boy out. Look at the Go Faster decal.
Shame.
Look, the little nose and the little pepper pot alloys.
Put down the brochure.
Absolutely horrendous car. Horrendous. Hydrogas suspension leaked all the time, so it's always wonky.
A little bit on the tilt.
Yeah. Head gaskets used to blow. The person who bought it off me, the next week, one of the wheels flew off and he went into a lamppost and snapped it in half. Beat that, Mr. Taylor.
Well, so the first car that I was tooling around in was a Talbot Matra Rancho, which was one of the very first kind of SUV type cars, 7-seater.
So wrong.
So very wrong. And then I went from there into a Fiat Strada.
I think Stradas weren't, I mean, they weren't that bad. At least had a bit of Italian flair.
105 TC. It was the fastest thing on the planet, and this one was proper quirky. But one day I slammed the door a bit hard, and this lump of filler fell out of one of the rear wheel arches as big as this. It was fantastic. So yeah, that was brilliant.
Do you think can we find a Fiat Strada today? Are they still around, maybe?
I think so. I think there are still some about. What is the highest number of cars you've had in the collection at one time? Well, it's now, right?
It's now, and it's 22.
22?
22 cars in one place.
Crazy.
Got a serious problem, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to have to do something about it.
He's not very good at selling.
Even though the Lamborghini's just been sold, and that's the first car I've sold in many, many years, I'm going to have to start pruning some more just to make room for some of the other new cars that are going to be coming.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So maybe suggest to us which ones you think should go in the collection. Supercars of the South. All right, Supercars of the South. He asks, do you have one car that you dream of owning? For me, it's the Ferrari 288 GTO, which I did have a chance of buying about 5 years ago, and unfortunately I missed out on it because I'm stupid, and unfortunately now that car is worth about £1 million more than it was then. So in order to get a 288 GTO, which I will have at some point, but I will have to sell lots of my other cars to get it.
So I would say Lamborghini Countach for me.
Really?
Absolutely, I'd love to have one of those.
You really want one of those?
Yeah, I would.
And drive it?
Well, I don't know, the driving thing is maybe not quite so appealing. And I had the opportunity to buy one again before these things started going through the roof. I was at a motor show, classic car show, and there was one on a stand that guy was selling for 30 grand.
Something wrong with it, definitely.
Now, £500,000, so yeah,
You
clearly
sure?
never having one of those.
You sure it wasn't a Fiat Strada in a body kit? Have you still got the blue Audi RS6?
Yeah, I managed to get all the way to Portugal and back without destroying it. So yes, it's still here, and I think it might be around for a little while as well.
Yeah, it's a special car, definitely.
Tom Fiddler asks, what made you guys want to start a YouTube channel?
Good question.
Good question.
For me, I retired and I didn't have much to do, and I didn't want my brain turning to mush, so I thought I'd teach myself video editing and filming just to sort of keep my mind active. Because I had a collection of cars as well, cars were the natural thing to start filming, to use to prepare the video and to get used to it.
We did a test video, didn't we, where we took out one of the cars and we just set the cameras up on it and just mucked about, really. When you edited it and we watched it back again, we were like, actually, this is really quite good, this is all right.
Yeah, and I think the two of us in the car playing off each other, the banter, was what the chemistry that happened there. That's what made it really cool and quite funny. And we thought, well, maybe there's something in this. And also, a lot of the videos that we were watching ourselves feature people doing just monologues to camera. So it's typically one person gets a car, talks to the camera. We found when you've got multiple people in the car, multiple opinions, sometimes clashing opinions, it makes for more interesting television. In the same way, I guess, that the original Top Gear, that sort of banter that Clarkson, Hammond and May had was what made the show, and that was pretty natural, at least in the early days. And we found that when we were in cars driving, as we were talking about the car, we were having a laugh, we were bouncing ideas between us, we were talking, we were arguing, and we almost thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we could capture this, and that's what we did.
And we did.
C.CSMYR, which is presumably an amusing acronym that we don't know what it is.
Yeah, we're too old.
If you could keep one car in the collection, which one would it be? What's it going to be?
F40.
Mr. Predictable.
Everyone knew I was going to say that.
Probably for me it would be the 458 Spec Charlie.
F40?
Aperta would be the one.
F40?
No, I've been that.
You are literally dead to me. FPX Max. Favourite car ever made?
Ever made.
Ever made? There's been a lot of cars.
Yeah, I mean, the problem, as you can tell by the fact that we've got 22 cars, we have a real trouble whittling cars down. So it's quite difficult to come up with just one. I suppose, for me, I mean, 288 GTO is obviously my favourite Ferrari, but probably on top of that, my greatest car, I think, is the Lamborghini Miura. So that one to me is the prettiest car ever made. It's also the birth of the supercar, and I think if you get one in maybe like a Verde Mantici or a Rancio Borealis, something like that, a really nice colour.
Tell people what actually those colours are.
Orange and green. But I saw one in a sort of really nice light blue, and a light blue SV,
blue.
yeah,
Nice.
and it was stunning. And also black with gold wheels looks amazing on those.
Just basically any Miura in any colour.
Almost
basically.
Yeah.
I do like the classic, so I'm a big fan of Gullwing Mercedes.
Oh, really?
I love. They're just so pretty.
I didn't know that about
They're
you.
so pretty, those cars. Or an old a 250 California.
Ferris Bueller car.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Oliver Kerry, would you rather have the Bugatti Chiron or the Bugatti Divo?
I think Chiron, it's a much nicer shape.
Agreed, and especially if I can have it in that blue carbon.
Blue carbon.
So nice. Oh.
Cashin?
Valkyrie or
No.
what?
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie?
There's no such thing as a Valkyrie.
Valkyrie
Yeah. So it's Cashin and it's Valkyrie.
or Project One?
Valkyrie or Project One? I'm gonna go Project One. Only because
We have absolutely no idea what the Valkyrie looks like, how fast it goes.
no, neither do the customers. It's
Who
going
paid
on. It's
£1.5
going on.
million for it.
It's going on way too long. The Project One, it looks to me the slightly more usable looking vehicle out of the two. I think the Valkyrie will be mentally bonkers, but I think Project One for me.
Project One, definitely.
2 votes for the Project One.
2 votes for Project One.
Samuel Hassankam says, what cars are on the way? Well, we got the Pista, obviously, is on the way. We've got the 812 Superfast, so that's pretty much Ferrari covered. We've got probably something very exciting coming up in next week with regards Porsche. So exciting news coming up for that, so stay tuned.
Probably something from an auction.
Probably something from there.
Yeah.
In fact, we are going to an auction
We are going to go to an auction, yes.
very soon.
So there may be a buy the till purchase
Yeah.
as we walk out the door.
That could be the kiss of death, because we are going to the RM Sotheby's auction in London, which will have happened by the time this video goes live, and there are some nice cars on there.
Yeah, so we may be up to 23 cars by the time you see this video.
Please, someone stop us. Okay, we clearly can't restrain ourselves when it comes to cars.
I think I may be on the hunt for a Mackinnon edition
Really?
Evo.
They might still have one at 4-Star Classics.
That's very true. So maybe something in that direction for me, I think.
It's David Grubinger, or Grubinger, depending how you pronounce that. Is there a hypercar on the way soon? I'm not massively enamoured with hypercars for the sake of hypercars. I know lots of people do get them and they show them off, and quite rightly so.
However, didn't we have a conversation earlier today about a Bugatti Veyron?
There was a scandalous rumour that I quite fancy Bugatti Veyrons now, having not fancied them at all for years. They looked quite classic now. They do look quite elegant, especially compared to the new ones. So maybe there might be a Veyron in the future.
But nothing of the modern.
LaFerrari's never interested me at all, despite being a Ferrari. I mean, I love Koenigsegg's, I love the look of them, but couldn't see myself owning one. Not interested in a P1. 918 Spider, maybe a 918 Spider. The simple rhyme that we use is, if you've got to plug it in, off. That's how we use that simple nursery rhyme to remember.
The classic.
Richard of York gave battle in vain.
If you've got to plug it in,
off.
Yeah, that
is the way we look at it. AES Photo asks, can I have the RS6 after Jason is finished with it?
I'll never be finished with it.
Car Character asks, are you considering buying an older Land Rover?
Got one.
Yeah, little known fact, we didn't cover it in the Car Guys Grand Tour Part 1 or 2. We do already have an old Series 2A Land Rover.
Cam Fraser Burns asks, the car you wished you'd bought. Well, we know which one that is for you, don't we?
288 GTO, it was in the palm of my hand and I didn't buy it, and it's the biggest mistake I've ever made.
I wish I'd gone through and bought the 996 GT3.
Oh yeah.
I was so close in yellow with the cage, the whole thing, and then I went and bought a house instead. So Get Chapetti-ish asks, everyone has bought a lemon at some point. What were yours? That implies that we bought more than one.
That's what it does, doesn't it?
And they're right. You are right.
You obviously know us very well. I don't think I've got any super lemons in the closet, but certainly probably the Maserati Grand Sport that I owned. I love that car, but the gearbox was very fragile on that. Paddle shift gearbox, single clutch. Every time you changed, it basically felt like you were throwing 50 quid out the window.
Which essentially you were. So for me, I think it was someone I was working with at the time was selling their Mark IV Cortina for 50 quid, and the MOT guy came out and explained to me that the front end was pretty much detached from the rest of the body. So it went to the great scrapyard in the sky. If Ferrari didn't exist, is there another manufacturer which you'd build a collection with?
I think it would definitely be Porsche.
Yeah. See, my heart wants to say Lamborghini. I'm just not sure they have the model range that you could kind of delve into, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm not overly committed to the Aventador.
The problem with Lamborghini is if you've got a garage and it's full of Lamborghinis, you're Rod Stewart. Prad SB, with his finger on the pulse, says, any Porsche GT cars on the horizon? All right, don't remind me. Don't rub it in.
Can we not have a rant about Porsche GT cars?
Right. As many of you know, Porsche has seen fit to not grant me a GT car from new, which means I've got to get one on the aftermarket, which means I have to pay a load of extra money for it. So, yes, more news on this soon.
Finished, have you?
Yes, all right. Just touched a nerve, that's all. H Pinder 500 asks an interesting question. What do you think of the possible Ferrari SUV?
Basically, this is a marketing gimmick to drive more cash into the business, which is, fine, but Ferrari doesn't need to drive cash into the business.
But interestingly, we thought the same thing about Porsche. When Porsche announced it was going to do the Cayenne, and now obviously the Macan, everyone said, you're selling out, you're traitors, it won't ever work. You're a sports car company, you're not allowed to do SUVs. And now, it's one of the most profitable things they do. It's surged profits in Porsche. Porsche is much stronger as a result, and now Porsche does loads of interesting super model variants that we can all enjoy. So I think with Ferrari, on the one hand, I totally agree.
You don't need the money.
The idea of it. I think they'll probably do it very well. It will be desirable, it will be bought by loads of people. Ferrari will be stronger as a result, and therefore will create much better cars, proper sports and supercars.
My personal opinion, if I wanted an SUV, I'd go and buy a Range Rover.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, last question.
Daniel Lewis, 76. Daniel Day-Lewis?
Oh,
76? Maybe. Could be. No. Would you ever get an electric car? No.
No.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Q&A session. I'm sure there'll be many of them in the future.
Don't forget to subscribe, tick that notification bell so you know every time we've uploaded a video, and we'll see you on the next one.